Gosh. You ever see people do that? I don't know. It's like this cracking of the knuckles or self-manipulation. I think it's almost addictive. Actually, I don't think. I know it is. It becomes addictive, habitual. It feels good to feel good. We release the joints and it feels good. It releases an endorphin. Nitrogen gas leaves the joint. That's really what the popping noise is. And unfortunately, in the chiropractic profession, they charge for that pop. They do. Chiropractors call that an adjustment. Actually, it's just that it's really called a cavitation. A cavitation is when nitrogen gas leaves the joint. You know, you pop a knuckle? Yep. That's all that is. Did I just adjust my finger? No. I popped a knuckle. And you didn't pop anything. You actually just let nitrogen gas leave the joint because your pop means to break, right? It's like, oh, can't you just crack it real quick? No, crack means to break. We don't crack spines. It's not what chiropractors do. And I even see this in chiropractic schools. I remember going to chiropractic school way back and students would self-manipulate, themselves, like that silliness I was just showing you. It's unfortunate because your spine is not a toy. It's not a toy. And we treat it as such. And why do we do that? Because we all want to feel good, do we not? Sure we do. But as I always say, if you can have tooth decay, you can have spinal decay. And as our spines are breaking down, we have this unbelievable thing in our body, this alarm clock, that is controlled by this intelligence, we'll get into that in a minute, that is keeping us alive. And this alarm clock says, hey, I'm going to give you a little bit of pain to let you, or some sort of discomfort, to let you know that something is wrong. That's why we have pain mechanisms in our body. If you touch a stove and it hurts and it burns, yeah, pain is there to keep you from melting your hand off. Yeah. But we today take a pill to numb that pain. Not really finding the cause of why. What we do is we take a drug to either speed up the nervous system or slow it down to relieve itself of that pain mechanism. And by doing so, we feel like we are healthy again. No, you're just asymptomatic. Those symptoms are still there. You just kind of masked it, right? You put a mask over it. And when you put a mask over it, what do? You cover it for a period of time and it will show up again. Kind of like a pimple. And so it's unfortunate when we hear the word chiropractic. Can't you just rub it real quick? Oh, give me a good massage. No, that's not what chiropractors do, actually. No. Can't you just put those needles in my back? Oh, yeah, acupuncture. Can you do that? No, that's not what chiropractors do. Oh, but can't you put those pads on there? You know, those little pads? The TENS. Yeah, that's it. Can you put that stim on my back? No, that's not what chiropractors do. Okay, then fill me in. My other chiropractor did that. I see it all the time on TV. All these other chiropractors on YouTube are doing that. TikTok, they put microphones. Don't do that. You see a chiropractor that puts microphones on the spine, run like Forrest Gump out of the office. Please, I beg of you. Because your spine is not a toy. It's not a toy. If there's a microphone on your spine and they're looking to get TikTok likes because of this popping noise that I just explained to you, run. I'm telling you, your spine is not a toy. Chiropractic. Chiropraktos is where it really came from. It's Greek. Adjustment done by hand. Chiropraktos. That's what that means. Adjustment to what? To the spine. We were all this big at one time, I promise you. And if it's an adjustment done to the spine, what does that have to do with acupuncture, massage, stim? I'm not saying those things are bad. I'm just not calling them chiropractic. And I'm not calling me the rule maker. I just play the game. Baseball in every single country has 3 bases and a home plate. That's how it works. You can't add something in between first and second, or by third base to home, you can't add something in between there. Another base, a hurdle, because it wouldn't be, baseball. That's really that simple. So when something is wrong with your spine, i.e. some sort of misaligned vertebrae, when the head is shifted out of position and the rest of the spine is compensating due to that misalignment, if you will, that's going to compromise something that is so ever important. It's your nervous system. Think on that. I, as a chiropractor, I'm not concerned about your spine. I'm really not. I'm not. They're hard. Bones are hard. They don't keep you alive. But what exits the spine does, those are nerves. And nerves are like mini extension cords. And they come out of the spine, and wherever they go, they plug into the heart, they plug into the liver, kidney, spleen. Every single part of our body has a nerve to it. I promise you. I've dissected many. I've studied them. There are nerves everywhere. And with these nerves, you know when people say you have some nerve? Oh, do you ever? But with these nerves, they have a job created by, ready? An intelligence I call God. This wisdom, this God-given intelligence, chiropractors call it an innate intelligence. Some people call it chi. You can call it whatever you want to call it. I don't care what you call it. We all have it. It's just a title. And with this intelligence, though, think on this. I said I don't care about the vertebrae. I'm more concerned about what's inside of it, the nervous system. However, let's go down the rabbit hole a little bit. Instead of worrying about the nerve, what about what's inside the nerve? You see, when the sperm and the egg united, it formed one cell. It was, talk about a miracle. One cell. You are that miracle. One cell. And with that one cell, all of who you're going to be on this place called Earth was within that one cell. That small cell. And it did something crazy. It split. Craziness. And split again, split again, split again, split again. And then here we are. Bam. 9 months later, we've got a little one. And we are just in awe of how this thing works. It's unbelievable. Heck, after the sperm and the egg united, this crazy thing called conception came together in that one cell. From that one cell, in 20-ish, 21 days, you have a beating heart. How did that happen? That's the intelligence within our body, our nervous system. And I don't care what age you are, that intelligence is still in you right now. The fact that you can see me and hear me, and with all of the millions and millions that we even know of, there's even more that we don't, of functions that are going on in our body, is controlled by your nervous system. So wouldn't it make sense, if you've been so programmed to see your dentist every 6 months, why wouldn't you see your chiropractor once a month? A chiropractor that focuses on nervous system function, where they're concerned about the spine, but again, more particularly what's inside of it. I don't want to step on any toes, but I'm going to. I don't want to, but I have to, because it's going to offend some people. Again, when you make a stance, you're going to offend some, and you're going to get a rah-rah from others. So, when you feel, oh yeah, that really feels out over here, that's not a gauge. It's not a gauge. There needs to be some sort of way to analyze the spine. This, me being a subject, right, the doctor, and I am palpating, feeling on the spine, and telling somebody who's on my table or my chair, and I'm doing an exam, boy, that really feels out over here. No, what I'm feeling is maybe a bigger bone or a crooked bone or a tight muscle or maybe swollen gland, but I can't feel nerve interference. I can't feel some sort of neurologic compromise within the spine. I'm good. I'm not God. I just work for him. And so think of this. Boy, have you ever put your hand on somebody's forehead? Boy, you're really warm. You have a fever. Yeah, I totally know you have a fever. Like here, I feel this. Boy, I totally know you have a misalignment in your spine. But how do I know there's nerve compromise there? I totally know you have a fever, but yeah, well, what's the number? What do you mean? Like 100.1? What's the number? Well, I don't know. I need a gauge, an objective gauge. See, there's an objective analysis, which is the gauge, the instrument, the thermometer, does not care what you think or feel. It's just picking up and detecting what it was designed to detect, heat. So our spine is the exact same way. We have, in the chiropractic profession, that came out in 1924, by the way, understand this, is that we have new technology, because in 1924 they did not have computers. And so we have something called infrared thermography. It's an instrument that we use to detect what's going on one side of the spine versus the other. Because when there's some sort of neurologic compromise, a byproduct to that compromise, is heat. What do you mean, heat? Because the muscles are tight, or the lymphatic system, or this, or blood flow's weird? Kinda, but let's go further down that rabbit hole again. When the sperm united, right, in that egg, they came together. What happened? There was this spark of life between the male cell and the female cell, and these chromosomes said, hey, this is kind of cool. That intelligence, again, split and split and split and split, and then 9 months later we have a baby. So let's even go further before all of that happened. Let's go way back, like eons back. Here's the sun and here's the earth, and the earth's spinning, I promise, at 1,000 miles an hour. We'll get back to the temperature in a minute. Now watch this. As the earth moves closer to the sun, we'd burn to death. That's how this rolls. What? If it moved further away from the sun, we'd freeze to death. But the earth's at a perfect distance of the sun in order to sustain life here. True story. Whatever made that happen, made you and I happen. It's an unbelievable thing, and we'll never understand it. We just need to appreciate it. But here's the thing. The signals that travel from our brain to our body go to every cell, tissue, and organ of the body. And then from there, that organ says, hey, brain, guess what? This is what's going on down below. So the brain tells the body, and the body tells the brain. Kind of like a safety pin, if you will, right? I call it the Weather Channel. Constant updates. Everybody's talking to each other without us thinking about it. Yeah, no, we have two brains. I'll get into that in another podcast. But to understand what that means is that this nervous system is just reacting to our thoughts. But our body is made to take care of itself. And if it's not taking care of itself, why isn't it taking care of itself? Because again, if the body can grow into a problem, why can't it grow out of a problem? It should be able to. And if it's not growing out of the problem, why? So, if the signals are traveling at 268 miles an hour to every cell, tissue, and organ of the body, in order to have electricity, if electricity is ever compromised, it generates heat. It's really that simple. You see, put your finger in the outlet and you get burned or arced, right? You feel that. Lightning comes out of the sky and hits the ground. What happens? It creates a fire. Why is it creating a fire? There's electricity in that lightning bolt, but a byproduct is heat. I have said this story for 25 years and 12,000 patients later, this same message. That if there are electrical signals, and I know that there are, traveling from the brain to the body, from the body to the brain, and if something structural happens to the spine, that structure compromises those small nerves exiting the spine, extension cords, that are traveling throughout the entire body, delivering electrical signals. But again, when the spine is shifted out of position, what happens? The head shifts, shoulders move, hips move, and now this spine starts to contort and adapt due to the head not being properly balanced. And in turn, those nerves exiting the spine will start generating heat. So we have a gauge called infrared thermography. We run this instrument up and down the spine to let us know which vertebrae is delivering heat. See how this works? It's a gauge. It's not what your doctor or chiropractor thinks what's going on with you. It's the gauge, like the thermometer, fever. You have a fever within your spine. All the nerves on one side of the body should fire equally on the other way. So if they're firing, sending signals, they all have a job. And so every single nerve that's exiting the spine all have a task. But again, why would one nerve on one side of the body create more heat than the other? Because maybe that vertebrae is shifted out of position. Abnormal signals, nervous signals, abnormal nerve signals make abnormal things. Here's the abnormal thing. If the brain tells the nerve, watch this, this is even easier. Brain tells the nerve. Nerves go to glands. Let's say breasts, right? Brain tells the nerve. Nerves go to glands, and glands make cells. Why would one breast make a tumor and the other one not? It's always one-sided. Testicular cancer. I know several people have had it. Why isn't it both testicles? No, it's only one. I watch people having kidney issues. It starts with one side. Why one? Gosh, my one hip, my one shoulder. And so when you're out of balance, what do? You find yourself pop, 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 doing those silly manipulations, even though you're trying to relieve the pain, but that's your body's way of telling you something's wrong with me. This is why it's so important to see a chiropractor once a month, not to get adjusted. That's another story. What if your spine, let's just say you saw a chiropractor, they made an adjustment to your spine, and then several weeks later you went to as a follow-up just to see what's going on, and they used an instrument, something like this, and ran it along the spine, and you did not have any heat on one side versus the next. What would happen? Nothing should happen that visit. You do not need to be adjusted. Even as a chiropractor, myself, I don't want to be adjusted. I'm grateful if I have to be, that there's somebody to do that for me. However, I don't want to be adjusted. I want to be holding my adjustment. Heck, do you go to the dentist and say, you're in the waiting room with the dentist and it's like, I don't know about you, but man, I really hope I have a cavity. Me too. I can't wait to have my root canal. It sounds stupid. Not silly, stupid. So if it sounds stupid, that's exactly how it sounds to me. If I see 50, 100 people in a day and they come into the office and come and get their spines checked, my goal is to adjust as little as possible because it would be, I want to get you to hold your adjustment. A dentist will give you recommendations, floss, brush, make sure you do this, do that, to try to prevent tooth decay. So your chiropractor should give you healthy recommendations to help prevent spinal decay. Huh, what a concept. See how this works? I hold my adjustment for about 2.5 months. For some reason, that's how long my spine holds. Some of my patients hold 2 or 3 weeks. Other than hold 3, 4, 5 months. If we all look different on the outside, I can promise you, our spines are very different on the inside as well. This is true. So this is why I harp, and I am a little bit of a mouth in the profession, because I can't stand when people use the spine like a toy. When they're practicing on each other. We're not doing hair, people. We live in this thing. Your spine's not a toy. We don't treat our teeth that way, so why would we do that to our spines? Respect it. Respect the adjustment. When a chiropractor walks into the office and just looks at you and says, I want to analyze your spine to identify something called a vertebral subluxation. It's a big word. All that means is a vertebrae that's out of position, causing neurologic compromise. That's affecting cells, tissues, and organs of the body. It's affecting your thoughts. It'll affect your hormones, your mood, your digestion. How can it affect all that? Heck, about 80% of my practice that I see are people with anxiety, depression. What does that have to do with your spine? Everything. Where are your serotonin levels made? Serotonin affects our, right? Anxiety, worry, doubt. This is why we take drugs to slow those inhibitors down in the brain, SSRIs. And so what we do is about 90%-ish of our serotonin levels are made in our colon. What controls your colon? Nerves. Where do nerves reside? Within your spine. See, it's not about treating a condition. And we have this thing to where we're fixing conditions, and that's not chiropractic. It just so happens when people's nervous systems are working the right way and stay working for a prolonged period of time, people heal. I did. I got sick at 17. Actually, I probably got sick earlier. I just didn't have any symptoms yet. And so at 17 years old, started having this, digestion issues, irritable bowel stuff. For 7 years of my life, had irritable bowel issues. It was awful. On top of that, I also had things upstairs. Yep, I'm that kid, struggled terribly through school. I'm that kiddo, graduated high school at a 3rd grade reading level. Yeah, aren't you glad you're listening to this? I got a 1.9 on my grade point average, 10 on my ACT. Yeah, I'm that kid. So not only, tons of detentions, that kid, suspended, that kid. Eddie couldn't sit still, learning disability classes, go, go, go. Why? What happened to you? What's wrong with you? I don't know. Let's just say that maybe there was a birth trauma. Or maybe there was a chemical trauma due to the vaccines that my mother didn't know of that were not good for me. Or maybe, that's a whole nother podcast, but maybe it was me running in the playground with my grandmother at 5 years old. And I'm running, and you see those playgrounds with, I call them the death chambers, but those merry-go-rounds, right, with the big fat steel bars on them, and these kids are spinning this thing, and I run and leap, wham, hits me in the face. Hit my nose, still to this day, no air in that nostril. Trauma, hit my face. I remember grandma's holding me, bleeding like crazy. I stopped bleeding, put a little ice on me, stopped bleeding. Oh, Eddie's fine, let him go play. Really, was I fine? Was I fine? Even though I stopped bleeding, the symptom went away? What was going on within my spine? My grandmother or my mother or anybody in my family wasn't educated on the importance on nervous system function. And then 6 years old, about a year later, I'm the first kid on the block. I've got my banana seat and my, with the big flag and handlebars and with the tassels on them. Yeah, I'm dating myself. And I'm just cruising. And I take my hands off the handlebars and I'm cruising. And what happened? The handlebars spin, wham! I hit my face, and there was another trauma to my spine. Cracked my front tooth in half. That front tooth is fake. And so what happened? There was another physical trauma. But growing up downtown Chicago wasn't the easiest. Heck, it's not easy now. And so, it's chaos. That'll be another podcast. But so I think of all the different things. I mean, growing up, I've gotten jumped. Remember I was in fourth grade. I had a bunch of kids hold me down, bully me and hold me down and use my head as a soccer ball. I don't know how it didn't kill me. And I remember getting kicked in the face over and over and over. It's just what happens. And then I get really heavy into skateboarding. I still love skating now. And skateboarding and doing all of that. I've had 8 car accidents. A few years ago, I still was skateboarding. I was with my son at a skate park, and I was on this 12-foot half pipe, and the board flew out from underneath me. Whack, I hit my head, and I herniated 2 discs in my neck and fractured a vertebrae. See what I mean? All of these things happen. But, that didn't happen to me. My spine's not as bad as yours. How do you know? This is why it's so important to have pictures. I use 3D spinal imaging. We have x-rays. And so 3D cone beam kind of pictures. We need MRIs. We need objective pictures data. And then we need another objective analysis, infrared thermography. I mean, it's so important that I co-authored a book called Infrared Thermography. And so it's on Amazon. But again, I wrote this book with another chiropractor, my friend Dr. Michael Lee. We wrote this book to teach people the importance of it. This isn't what's telling chiropractors what to do and how they should practice, but implement a science into their craft, if you will, their art. Because we should have some sort of gauge. Chiropractic sits on 3 different tenets. A philosophy, which means the power that made us has the ability to heal us. And this power, if it's working the right way via the nervous system, can adapt to life's crazy stressors. That's the philosophy. There's many principles within that, but that's the premise and philosophy of chiropractic. Then there's an art. What is the art? The art is the chiropractor's way of applying their adjustment to the spine. That's the art. And then there's a science. There needs to be a science. A science is reproducibility from one visit to the next, reproducibility from one chiropractor to the next. So if I was, say, a medical doctor, and I take your blood pressure and say, wow, that blood pressure is a little bit high. I'm using a gauge. And I send you to another medical doctor down the block, and they take the same gauge and use it. They should get the same result or data. This is the premise behind infrared thermography. Again, it's not making whatever I do or any other chiropractor better than the other, but there should be a science with that because we have a nerve that resides within our spine. Trillions of them within our spinal cord. And when there's trillions of those nerves doing their job and they're working the right way, think on this. If a seed is planted, you put dirt over it and you water it and you step back. And you come back a week later and you check the soil. And when you check the soil, what happens? We have gauges today that we can put into the soil and check the moisture. Objective gauges. Most of us just kind of feel the soil. But you can see it's the soil, it's still moist. Do I water the plant? No, you don't water the plant. The soil is still moist. I make an adjustment to the spine. I see you a week later, 2 weeks later, and I check your spine objectively with my analysis, my gauging systems, and your spine does not require an adjustment because it's neurologically sound. What do? I give you a high five, give you a little maybe healthier recommendations that get some stress off your life, and I'll see you in a few weeks to a month. Why is that so hard? All of humanity should be having their spines checked. Why? Ever watch America's Funniest Home Videos? Yeah, it's not too funny for me. I'm not a big fan of watching people fall down, bump, hit their head, have these accidents, get on up and limp away and not knowing, because of the lack of education within the chiropractic profession, not knowing the importance of what you might have done to that spine to cause it to fall out of normal positioning. Abnormal structure creates abnormal function. Abnormal function creates abnormal body physiology. Abnormal body physiology, you die early of a condition. See how this works? You want to be a better parent where you just are poised and you're calm. You want to think of somebody flying a plane that's subluxated. Think of somebody who is in control, maybe police officers or anybody else. Or anybody, there's chaos in this world right now. Our world is running around with these crazy pronouns, and they're running around with all of these different political beliefs. You're wrong. You suck. This is why. Some people are overweight. Some people are underweight. People are over-medicated, and some people won't take anything. Some people take the jab. Some people won't take the jab. Whatever it is, Do whatever you do in this thing called life, but do it when you're neurologically sound. And you won't believe, you absolutely won't believe how different your life will be. You have got some nerve. You do. And I'm telling you, it's up to you to take care of it, because this is the only house you get to live in. It's your temple. And when you take care of it, you're just a better human being. Think on those things. Have a great day.